Welcome to the ATP webinar on social media branding, the what, when, where, why, and how. I'm Jason Douglas. I am the digital marketing professional, fortunate enough to speak with everybody here. I am based out of Minneapolis, working at an agency called FirstScribe, a full-service digital marketing agency. A little bit of background how I got connected to ATP. So I did some work with IFAI last year around Expo time, and I actually presented at Expo last year, a couple sessions, and there was a great amount of feedback from those sessions that we felt it was necessary to dive a little deeper and start a potential series on social media and digital marketing as a whole to help everyone get up to speed on what's going on in my industry and how it can be relevant to your personal brand, and then of course for the business as well. A little more background here is that I've done this for over 8 years here, not only in social media, which I've got great expertise in and experience, but also in the organic search side, so really working on optimizing websites within search engines, digital advertising as a whole, so Google AdWords, Bing, any social channels that you can think of, most likely you can advertise within them, for that is one of their main sources of income, email marketing, and then website analytics. So really looking at the data of how people are responding to your website and what they're doing, and if they're doing what we want them to do, or if they're not, figuring out why and making recommendations on the site, on advertising, anything that we can think of as a touch point for your customer. I'm Google AdWords and Analytics certified, which means I've taken a few tests with Google on both topics and had to get a minimum score of 80% on all exams, and did so. And one thing that's cool about these exams, maybe not for me as the test taker, but I have to take these every year to make sure that I'm current on trends within AdWords and Analytics. So this isn't something that I take it once and I'm good for life. You have to maintain your credentials, so to speak. I mentioned that I was at IFA Expo last year in Anaheim. Maybe I met some of you. It was a great experience. Also, you might have seen a couple articles I published within Specialty Fabrics Review if you are a subscriber or you access the site online. Most recently, last month, I had a nice article which plays well into this presentation. For example, you enjoy this presentation and you start thinking, I need to do social media either for myself a little bit more or for your company. How do you go about that? You're not the digital marketing expert per se, but you need the digital marketing help. And there's a lot of people that say they do it, but there's only so many people that do it well and that have a good track record and can prove it. That article really showcases the questions and the thought process that you need to go through and have addressed, whether you're looking for a freelancer, which is some of the work I do, or if you want an agency, perhaps like FirstScribe. Making sure that you're making the right choice because you want to invest any marketing dollars properly. Check it out when you can. Again, I'm based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota at FirstScribe, and let's get started here. We're going to cover today, I'm going to quickly define what social media is. Does social media have a real purpose other than commenting on a whim on whatever political issues going on, to playing the very trendy and recent Pokemon Go game, which is beyond a game. It's definitely a social networking tool within a game. It's its own community. Then discussing social media, its purpose. Does it have a real purpose? Social media is a personal branding tool, something that's very near and dear to me, which I credit how I've branded myself and been able to enhance my brand throughout my career is one of the main reasons why I'm talking with you today. Personal branding and business branding, we'll discuss that a little bit as well. Towards the end, we're going to critique Amit Kapoor, who's an ATP member, and First Line Social Media, that's his company, just to showcase what looks good, what doesn't look good. And so when you get started, or if you are getting started, I'll give you a few tips on how to do that properly, and we'll see what Amit has done on his channels. After that, we'll do a QA period where please type in any questions in the question bar in the pop-up. Otherwise, if there's something that I see that needs to be addressed, if you type a question in the middle of the presentation, don't hesitate to do so. I'm happy to address anything as needed. Otherwise, I will save everything for the end. So moving on, what is social media? Let's define it. This definition is one that I've followed over the last couple of years. So I think it really captures the essence of social media as a whole. It's a form of electronic communication. You can do it on a website through a browser. You can do it on a mobile application through which our users, they create the communities, they create the content through general information, general ideas. You can direct message on just about every social channel as well, so it's not public to everybody. And then other content. I added the parentheses as videos. Video and live streaming have become a major part of the social media mix. When I spoke at IFAI Expo last year, Periscope and Meerkat were becoming big. Periscope's ended up winning that live streaming battle, but Facebook Live has come out since then. And live video content, when used properly, is a great tool to really get people behind the scenes access, to get them to know your brand, whether it's a personal brand or whether it's your company. Something that maybe down the road look into further, but just know that that's possible. If you want to give people insight on how certain things are made, or showcase a preview of a product coming out before anyone else knows about it, perfect opportunities for that. This slide here, and I think this is where some of you came in on the audio, so hopefully it's not too redundant, but this is a slide that is used often in presentations I give or similar ones, where you're going to see a ton of logos of all the social channels that exist. And there's plenty more than the 8 here I'm showing, but these are really the 8 key ones, in my professional opinion, that you should consider. Not all 8 necessarily, but these are the 8 with a significant amount of audience, per se. Pinterest is a very visual tool where you engage with content by pinning it on your board, your virtual tag board. It's kind of like liking it or favoriting it. You can get various ideas from cooking to weddings to even financial advice. I've helped use it for in a previous engagement I had. Facebook, most people are familiar with Facebook. It's the largest social channel in the US and in the world. I think it's 1.4 billion users worldwide at this point. Again, mentioned Facebook Live is a big component of it now, and that's accessible for all users and all Facebook pages for companies. Periscope is the other logo, the one that has a little red eye. That's another live streaming tool just through an app. Great tool. Another kind of a game changer, as I mentioned, with live streaming versus just posting a video from something in the past. LinkedIn is that professional social network, recently making headlines for being purchased by Microsoft for, I believe, the tune of $26 billion with a B, $billion. So not only has it been useful for individuals making a personal brand such as myself, but in a profitability sense. YouTube, the video social network. Be interesting to see what happens with YouTube, since we have so much live streaming capabilities here, but a very strong channel owned by Google. Vine, another short video tool, 6-second videos, very quick snippets of what you're doing at that moment that continuously loop if you use it through the app or the desktop. Instagram is the next one. This is owned by Facebook and really took off once Facebook purchased it, because Facebook has such a great user base. Instagram is up to, I believe, 400 million users, so a great amount of people on there. Very visual, so very, very good at showcasing certain products and stuff that needs to be seen versus exclusively discussed through text. And then Twitter, I would say once the main competitor to Facebook, but they've had some issues, at least on the business side, of really figuring out how to make it a profitable channel and really explaining how new users can use the channel, and I think that's one of the reasons why it hasn't grown like Facebook has. Twitter is very well known for the short messages. 140 characters is what you're limited to, so you have to be very precise on what you're saying, and if you include links for website, links for image, that shortens the amount of content that you have available to you. So these 8 here, I believe, are the most important ones that you should consider if diving into the social world. The PowerPoint seems to have gone away, but looks like it's back. Hold on one second. There we go. Technology is fun sometimes. So let's discuss the social media and personal branding. I want to define this again. There's three ways we can look at this. Personal branding, the practice of people marketing themselves and their careers as brands. I don't think a lot of people think of themselves as a brand. You are a walking brand for yourself and for whatever company you represent. What you say, what you do does matter on both levels. Your personal brand is really your reputation and how you're perceived by others. Perception is reality in my world. For example, with this presentation, hopefully all of you think this went well and it was educational for you and you benefited from it in some form. The perception of me in this webinar series is going to be very high, no matter what I think of how I did presenting or how I thought the webinar went. What you think. It's what the outside people think of you or a company. Now, if I think it went really well, but you all think it went very poorly, that's the reality. So the personal brand can be defined by the individual, but is often defined by outside people. Third, it's really what people are saying about you when you're not in the room. Now, I'm hoping that there's some questions throughout this. So that's conversation within this virtual room, but there will be conversation after this, and really that's going to be what my brand ends up being right now, however that conversation goes. When you fill out the survey afterwards, expect a survey coming to you shortly. You'll be able to answer questions and really rate what transpired here and if you found it beneficial or not, if you want more of this or not. You're the ones that really define the personal brand, but you can do plenty of things ahead of time to make sure that your perception is high and then what people say about you when you're not around is positive. A couple things. I know we're talking about social media and that's exclusively online, but there's also offline. Most of us, we probably are aware of what we do in real life. That's what IRL means, and URL is just a way of saying online. So if you think about it, online, your brand is what you post or what you publish. Any content that you put public that people can see. So it's your tone of voice, it's the words that you use as well. It's your avatar, your profile picture. That's the way that people are able to see who you are. Are you, a guy or a girl? Or do you have hair or no hair? No hair like me. What's the background within your image as well. So you've got to really figure out what you want to showcase online, because you're in more control of it than you might be offline. Who you interact with. So that's people that, if you're on Twitter, who you're responding to, how you're responding with them, Facebook as well, who you're connected to on LinkedIn, if you accept a connection from anybody just to get your numbers up, or do you keep it exclusive to make sure they're relevant people? Because people can look to see who you are connected to, who you have mutual connections with, and may make judgments based on that. And then where you are active. So each channel serves a different purpose. Is it strictly professional? You're most likely going to be engaging on LinkedIn. Facebook has some professional and personal components. Same with Twitter. YouTube can be the same as well. Pinterest tends to be more personal, though more companies are exploring that as a channel to showcase their business. So it really depends on where you're active. Now offline, compared to what you post or publish, is what you verbally say. How you say it, what the tone is, that's the equivalent to offline. Your avatar and profile picture to how you dress. Say you're going into a meeting, is it a professional one where you should probably be in a suit and tie, or at least something very professional like dress pants, a sweater, dress shirt, or do you show up in jeans and a t-shirt? That's going to be part of your personal brand. Who you associate with. So say you're at a networking event in real life. There are certain people that are known for being great networkers, great connections, and there's certain people that just go to networking events for a cocktail or a few too many. Most of us have probably seen that before. But based on who you interact with and how you interact with them, others that are observing will be able to make a determination on your personal brand and make that perception as reality. And then where you're active within the channels is online, where you are seen at certain networking events, at IFAI Expo. You need to be seen at the right places at the right time. The main takeaway from that comparison offline and online is there really shouldn't be a difference. How you conduct yourself in person should be similar to how you conduct yourself online. If you're dressed professionally in your online avatars, your online profile pictures, and it's a business setting that you're meeting someone offline, you probably should be dressed similarly. So consider the differences between off and online. They really do blend together. So consistency is a key thing. If there's someone that seems really nice online, they're always positive, they're responding quickly, any factor that might lend you to think that they're a good connection, good friend, whatever it might be, and then you meet them in person and they're a complete 180. They don't look like their profile picture. They don't talk as eloquently as they do online. There's just a different vibe about them. There should be no inconsistency, and if there is, that's a red flag for someone that wants to interact with you or do business with you, and you want to prevent anything like that from happening. Here's a few steps on creating that personal brand, and that's something that doesn't happen overnight. But there's a few easy steps that I want to go through to make sure that you're doing it the right way. With anything in business, with any goal that you have, you need to define what your objective is. What's your goal with creating a personal brand? Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for more leads? Are you looking to take another step with your company? What's the purpose of doing this initiative? Figuring that out is going to be the base for anything that you do moving forward with this. Defining your brand. What do you want to be known for? Do I want to be known as the digital marketer? Do I want to be known as a digital advertiser? Those are things that I figure out, not on a daily basis necessarily, but frequently, and make sure that whatever I want my defined brand to be, I'm heading towards that. I'm maintaining that. I'm enhancing that. If you see that it's changing, that's okay, but you need to make sure that that's what you want. For example, if you want to be known as the top textile company in a certain region, is everything that you're doing helping supplement that brand goal and that objective? If not, then you have to figure out, is that action worth doing? Identify up to 3 areas of expertise. And I say 3 only because we live in a world where we're so specialized. You do this one little thing. And I've, at least in my career, I've really fought the notion of just being the Google AdWords guy because there's so many other forms of advertising. And additionally, there's so many other forms of digital marketing. I want to have a very high knowledge in as much as I can because sometimes they go together. Digital advertising was mostly known as something you did in a search engine, but now social media has really come into play very strong in the last couple of years and become a way that social channels make money. And the advertising platforms within those channels, social-wise, are really good for targeting. You can target your market very well as long as you know what your market is. So I feel that I'm good at the things I mentioned in my bio at the beginning. You'll have to figure out what your core competencies are as a business on your own. Develop a positioning statement, mission statement, whatever you want to call it, and just really, you're starting from scratch here. Define that objective, get the brand defined as well, figure out what you want to be known for in terms of your expertise, and develop how you want to be positioned. Are you positioned as the guy in Minneapolis? Are you positioned as the guy in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, the 7-county metro area here locally? Or am I the state leader? where do you want to be positioned? This number 5, create and curate relevant content, is a little bit subjective, but it's really the king of once you get on social media, content is king. Without content, you're not really active. You need to have a good plan on what to write about, what to be discussing, what you want to be known for. Your conversation points will be what people consider as your brand. Now, if you're a textile company but you're talking about politics, are you really a textile company? Is there some political bias that you might have that could segregate some people away from you and go to somebody else? Staying on topic most of the time, but then also showing light personality. Maybe it's have a pet in the office day. Light stuff like that to give a little personality, but stay away from certain high voltage topics, we'll call that. And this, once you pop, you can't stop. This is more of a testament to it being consistent once you start. And what I've found when I've helped people with either personal brand or their business marketing, once you start seeing results, it gets addicting. Success is addicting. You start seeing people respond to you, reply to you. You start getting new connections, new leads as well. Who doesn't want more relevant leads? So if you see the results right away, you're going to continue doing what works and modify it and get better as you go. So it's key that you do the first 5 so you get to that point at number 6. Personal branding and business branding. This slide is short because developing a personal brand and developing a business brand is very similar. Some people consider themselves as a business. Part of me is an individual business while I am at an agency. Any time you do business branding, you have to define your mission. What is the mission? That should be the first thing you do. Showcase your vision and establishing the business core values. Those are the 3 real significant pillars that you have to have before you do anything else. Before you worry about what social channels you're going to be on, what your content strategy is going to be, anything like that. So make sure that you work hard through this, and maybe you'll need some help with these items with a branding agency, with a branding individual, with outside influences, because it's very easy when you're so immersed in your own brand that you lose sight of what you really need to be discussing and what you need to be mentioning and what you need to be focusing on. So just consider that. I'm not saying that I'm going to be the main person to do your brand or anything like that, but consider outside help when you're doing this. Run it by some people before you make it public, just so then you can kind of get a feel for how people respond to it. Make sure you find people you trust for that, but make sure that you follow these 3 things. Define that mission, showcase your vision, and establish those business core values. A little checklist here for anyone looking to start on social media or see if their presence is up to speed. These are some basic ones that if you don't have these, you don't need to worry about the rest at this time. You need these ones first. Choosing a custom URL, username for your personal brand, for your business brand. You want to make sure that your name is owned by you. Jason Douglas is a very common name. I've met other Jason Douglases before. I don't know how many of you can say that you've met someone with your name. It's a cool experience, but luckily I have the Twitter handle at Jason Douglas, and he doesn't, because that's a key component for my personal brand. Same goes for a company name. I know that there might be overlap here and there, but ensuring that you have your company name or as close to it and it's identifiable as yours versus, say, a similar company name in a different geographic area, in a different industry, you don't want there to be any confusion. So getting that custom URL, getting that username situated right away is a key part. Now, Twitter, you can change your Twitter handle anytime. Facebook, you can change your page name maybe once. They've gone back and forth on this, where if you start a page and the time that you decide to go to it and then change the name on facebook.com/username, usually that's the only shot you have, so make sure you get it right. you'll be able to see if the page that you want, the page name is taken before you submit, but make sure there's no misspellings. I've seen that before, and then you have to start over. Use your real name if you're doing this as an individual. Use your legal business name if you're doing this as a business. I've seen some individuals, this is more an issue on the individual side, where they use nicknames or Jason the Marketer. That's not my brand. Maybe you think that is, but you've done nothing to supplement that, so let's just use Jason Douglas. That's your name, that's your brand, and that's fine. Use your real name. You want to be found. You're not looking to hide. Make sure you have a profile picture. Make sure you have a logo, and make sure you have a cover photo on the applicable channels. Twitter and Facebook have cover photos. You can do some stuff on LinkedIn as well as a cover photo. YouTube has an image at the top as well. But make sure anytime that you have an opportunity to showcase your brand, do so. These are easy opportunities and easy wins to establish this profile as associated with your business, or this profile is yours and not another Jason Douglas, for example. The about or biography section, make sure you fill that out, because that, along with the profile picture, could be the first impression that you're able to give, and maybe the only impression that you have, the one chance you have to impress somebody. Twitter, you're limited to about 160 characters. Facebook, you have a little bit more room. LinkedIn as well. But make sure you explain who you are, what you do, and how you can help somebody. Similar to a business. Here's my core expertise, and here's how I can help you. When you mention how you can help somebody, you're adding that value. You're not just saying, hi, I'm here and I do this, and expect people to come to you. You need to tell them how you can help them and make sure you can relate to someone out there looking at your profile. Say, oh, geez, they do X task. I need that. Now I should reach out to them. Include your website URL if you have it. Personally, I don't have my own website, but I might link to my LinkedIn page or my about.me page or a different social profile. But if you have a business website, be sure to put that in there, because ultimately, assuming that's where leads are coming in, or that's where additional information is for people to become a lead, call us now. Make sure you get there. Make sure you get them there. And then within social media, it's not just about creating your account, having a great custom URL, filling out your bio, make sure all images are looking good. If you don't post regular updates in any form, in a sense, you still don't exist. And be consistent with that. Shared this at Expo, but I did a little experiment where on Twitter, about over 4,000 followers, most of them local here in Minnesota. I was pretty active. I would tweet 10 to 20 times a day, have great conversations, some private ones as well. But people knew who I was. People were very familiar with me being in conversations. I was pretty established, but I thought, you know what? I'm so established. I'm sure I could take a little break and then I would not suffer any consequences. So I took a month off. I did not tweet. I did not Facebook. I was on there and I was looking, but I didn't put any content out there. And come back a month later, just engage as I did before, 30 days later, 30 days prior, And it was shocking how so few people that I would normally talk with responded. You have to be there. You have to stay there. So make sure you don't do a test like I did. Still working back to where I was. I'm better than what I was after that test. But this is not a passive channel. This is something that you do need to commit to and make this part of your marketing mix, whether it's as a business or whether it is as an individual. So be sure that when you are doing this isn't just setting things up, but that this is a significant part of what you're going to do moving forward. So here, we're going to critique Amit, and this is his LinkedIn profile. You'll see that he has a nice profile picture. It's very clear who he is. He's happy in it. He's looking good. He's very clear about what his position is, what location he's in. He has his email available for anyone here. He's got a Twitter handle, and then he's got a company website links that go to Firstline as well. One thing I did notice is that on his Twitter handle, I clicked on it to go to his Twitter profile, but the profile doesn't exist. I found out from Amit that he forgot to update his Twitter handle once he updated the handle through Twitter. It is not A Kapoor 80 anymore. So little things like that. Once you do have everything set up, you're maintaining it, you're publishing content, maybe you might change your handle to who knows what it would be, but you have to make sure that wherever it is listed, update it, because you don't want there to be a broken link or act as if it's not in existence, because that's a little ding on the personal brand that, oh, that's a detail missed. What other details could be missed? And Amit, I pointed this out to him yesterday, and I believe it's updated since then. I just took this screenshot before to show that even someone that's doing it pretty well, it has 5 out of 6 things looking good, there could be one thing. So make sure if you are the more advanced type in the social world, just double check everything. It doesn't hurt, because if you do find something, it's better that you find it versus someone else mentioning it to you, or having someone not mention it to you and just move on and find somebody else to do business with or to connect with. But overall, Amit, looking good. This is First Line's LinkedIn page, and you'll see that they have the logo prominently in the upper right corner. They've got the cover photo and then the bio filled out as well. You could click to see more on the actual page, but it is filled out. They have recent updates. They had something from 4th of July, which is good, but it depends on what your cadence is going to be moving forward. Is it something that you're going to post every week, every other week, every month? Whatever you can handle right now, make sure you stay consistent with it. And if you can increase, and if you have people saying that they want more content from you, do what you can. Do what you can in a short and long term, because I've heard many times time is the issue why people don't engage in social media or digital marketing. They don't have the time to do it. You're a small business owner, you have a small marketing team within a company, and you have all of these other functions to attend to. Last thing on your radar is social media. Do what you can handle and grow from there. So overall, this looks really good. Now, if I had seen like the recent update be from February, March, that's a different story, because then I can say, why are we not active? What happened to First Line? Are they still in existence? What happened to their marketing department? Whatever it might be. So be mindful of that. Those are the things that people think about when looking at a profile for the first time. Do you publish content? If so, how frequently? What's the most recent stuff? Amit's looking good here on First Line. On Twitter, similar thing. We have the cover photo, we have the logo, we have a little bit of a bio here, we have the custom name at First Line Tech. You have the website in the right corner as well. See that they've been part of Twitter since February 2011, so a fair amount of time that they've been here, which is good. Again, I do see that July 4th was the last post, which is okay if that's the regular cadence. That's once or twice a month. Just be mindful of that. Also, this was different because it was 4th of July. It's a great American holiday. Most people celebrate. But if possible, don't make the post that you have on one channel be the same as you have on another channel. For then, why would someone follow you on all these channels if it's the same content over and over again? You probably only get someone to follow you on one of the channels, and if not, you might have someone that just says, it's the same stuff, I don't need any of this. You don't want someone to completely disengage because all they see is redundant content. So having a content strategy for each channel is key. And just knowing the differentiators, for example, Twitter is very short, 140 characters max for now. Facebook can expand a little bit. All are visual, but just knowing your audience as well. Maybe your audience is on Facebook versus Twitter, or your audience is on LinkedIn, but not in the other two. Or you find that YouTube is a great area for distributing your video content, and you don't need to do it anywhere else because you have great amount of views and inquiries from there. So figuring out where your audience is will also be key. Towards it looking really good here, Amit. First Line, nice job. First Line's Facebook page real quick. We have the cover photo, we've got the logo here, we've got the about area, so the address is here. I believe there's a website. You got a phone number, so many ways that they can contact as well. Great rating, 4.5 out of 5 as well. A lot of people like the page, so it's great to see that this has built a good following. And one thing I remember from the last slide, there's only about a couple hundred followers on Twitter. However, we have a great following on Facebook. Clearly, First Line's audience is more on Facebook than Twitter. So they've made the decision that this is a channel they're going to really focus on. And as you'll see, we have the 4th of July post, but then right below it's cut off, but we have something from late June, so much more recent following up. So clearly they got to know their audience. That's going to take some time for you to do, but take the time to do so and you'll benefit, so you're not wasting resources and time and money on a channel that's not going to give you results. A few just overall digital communication tips I want to share. You are in control of what you post and what you say. No one's going to be your voice as long as you're active. Now, if you're not active, you could have people, in a sense, speak for you. You don't want that. That can be a very dangerous thing to experience. So be there and be your voice, and don't let anyone else be your voice. Do not join all of the social networks. I alluded to this earlier, where I only showed 8 logos for the social channels to discuss. There's so many others. You'll have to figure out which ones work best for you. They all do serve a different purpose, but don't join them all. You're going to run yourself too thin, you're not going to get the results that you want, and you're going to think that social media and digital marketing is not worth your time. That's probably not the case. So just be very smart about which ones you join. Blend personal and professional content, but carefully. Again, you might have opinions on what's going on in the world in terms of politics and other unfortunate events. Be very judicious on when you share that, if you share that, among other topics. Keep it professional, but keep the personal stuff light. People do want to know you as a person, you as a business owner, you as an individual. But be in control of that message and discuss things that aren't going to alienate people. For example, I'm a dog lover. I'm never going to own a cat, but I enjoy, a cat picture here and there. It's not going to alienate me. It's not going to alienate others. No one's really anti-cat and pro-dog or vice versa. But it gives a little personality insight on, oh, they're a dog lover. They might be like this person, or they're a cat lover. They might be like that person. Light stuff like that. You'll be able to gauge what your audience is interested in as well. So you'll be able to be determining how you blend the personal and professional, how you mix that. But again, my advice, stay away from the high velocity, high voltage topics. Be consistent. So again, I mentioned about the branding in real life versus online. There should be no difference. Be consistent with your tone, especially if you're talking with somebody here, over a webinar, versus how hopefully I engage with some of you via email or a different phone call or in person. You shouldn't notice a difference. There is no difference. I'm very proud to say that. Please tell me otherwise if we meet, but I've worked hard and I'm comfortable enough where I am who I am, and what you see is what you get. There's no fake persona, and there shouldn't be with you either. And frequency, consistency. Again, whether you decide once a month, once a week, whatever that cadence is, be consistent with it. Keep going with it. Make it a point to do what you set out to do. And then you're also going to educate people on how often you're going to update your profiles, how often you're going to update content on your Twitter, on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, how many videos you're going to post. Is it a monthly video? Is it weekly? Whatever it might be. That's all up to you. Only the visible are noticed. Again, you might follow the first 5 tips that I gave to start a profile. Get your Twitter handle, get your profile picture, get your images up. But if you don't post the content, none of that matters. You got to be visible. You got to be in conversations. You've got to respond to people when they send you a message. Otherwise, you get forgotten about, and someone else gets business. Someone else gets a job lead. Someone else gets what you want. And then if you say you are the expert in something, be sure to back it up. Again, in the digital marketing world anyway, there's plenty of people who say, oh, I do this, I do that, I'm the social media guy. Well, just because you have your own personal Facebook page that you post your party pictures on does not make you a social media expert. In no way, shape, or form. So be sure you can back it up. Showcase examples if you can. Showcase your office and prove that you're not working in your parents' basement per se. That's a common thing in the digital marketing world. That, oh, you're a freelancer, that means you don't have a job. No, it means I'm a freelancer and I've got these clients and got these examples, and here's actually how I could help you. That's how I would turn it around. Consider these tips when you are starting to engage and when you consistently engage. That's my presentation right now. I apologize for the audio issue earlier. Appreciate you hanging on and hanging in there. Happy to address any questions from the group. Please do it in the chat area. I'll hang out here for a couple minutes. Again, the chat area, the question area, that should be that pop-up that came to the right or the left that is outside of the actual presentation. All right, I've got a question from Matthew here. He asked me, I mentioned making a decision whether I wanted to be a digital marketer versus advertiser. What does that mean to me? That's a great question. What that means to me is you could be a broad digital marketer. So I've got very broad but deep expertise in many things. But there is a perception out there that maybe I'm the jack of all trades. I'm pretty darn good at a lot, but am I the deep expert in anything? You can make an argument one way or the other for that. And with digital advertising, that's something that's not going away. It's only going to become more prevalent. More dollars for all businesses in any industry are going to be dedicated towards digital advertising versus traditional. And it's something that it's no longer only through search engines. There's display advertising, there's remarketing, there's social advertising, there's ad roll, there's stuff with Amazon and eBay. There's so many different channels to advertise, and it's an exciting time to be a part of it. There's some changes coming to Google AdWords coming up here that I'm really excited to explore once they're live. I recently got FirstScribe as a premier Google partner. So there's Google partners. You can look on Google to find someone that you'd want to work with, but then there's a premier level, and that's based on number of people that are credentialed, like myself, campaign spend, so how much money we manage for all our clients, and then also performance of. So it's not just spend a ton of money and you think you're good, but spend a ton of money and make money and get a lot of leads for your customers. So it was a very, very good honor that we just got, and now it's up to us to utilize that for more business for FirstScribe. I just think that digital advertising right now is extremely exciting. And the fact that there's some social component, there's a search component, there's a lot of components just within digital advertising are included. So for me, it fulfills the need to be involved in many things. So thanks, Matthew. All right, a question from Vince. He said, I've received conflicting advice to link all social media accounts together for auto posts and keeping them all unlinked. Simple advice. I understand why you want to have them all linked because it's easy. It just goes to all channels. It's fine. And I hate the word fine. I think it's a worse four-letter F word than the other one that you all are thinking of, and I am as well. When something's fine, it's not. And again, when I see channels that are, say I'm following a company on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, if I see the same message on all, I'm going to discontinue my following on at least 2 of them and possibly 3. I can tell that there's no real strategy behind what they're posting. So yes, it is more work to have an individualized content strategy for each, but then that goes to my point of don't be on all the channels. Be on the channels that you think are the most relevant and that show to be the most relevant, and dominate that one. Now, if you have time for another one, add a second channel. So that's my advice. Try to be as unique as possible while having, when appropriate, like 4th of July and other things like that, across the board. Thanks, Vince. Next question here. I believe it's Fabiola. I hope I got that right. Good question here. How can you evaluate if social media is working? Good question. So there's a few metrics that you can do for that. You can do followers. You can do comments on posts. You can do likes, or in Facebook you can show a little emotion if someone liked it or loved it or is happy or wowed or sad, angry. Those are all emotions that you can share now on posts. Those are light metrics. Those are what I call light passive engagement. And the harder ones, I'm thinking more in a business sense. For people that say you post an article that goes back to your website, go into your website analytics, likely Google Analytics, but there's Omniture through Adobe, other tools that you can use. See how many people went back to your site and clicked through on it. See how many people fill out a contact form or purchase something, whatever, if you have e-commerce or if you're lead generation. That's when you see if social media is really working. So yes, you can go for the likes and followers. That's a part of it. You need the audience to speak to. You need to make sure people are engaging on the channel. Get good conversation going. Commenting on your posts. But then ultimately, if you're a business, if you're an individual, it's about lead generation and sales. It's about making money. And evaluating that is how you're going to know if social media is working or not. All right, Matthew asks, for a B2B manufacturing company, what is the most important social network channel to participate in? LinkedIn. Simple as that. Though you're going to see more Facebook coming into play. I see that more on the advertising side, just for the great targeting that you have. But LinkedIn, connecting with people, it's been a great source for lead generation for sure. So that's a number one. Kind of an easy answer, probably a predictable answer as well. But look for Facebook, especially with Facebook Live, getting more personality behind it, showing more what's going on. Another thing to know about Facebook Live is once you end the live stream, that post, that live stream that you had 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 second, whatever it might be, that's on your page. That's saved there. So you have that content. Aaron asks, can you recommend any social media platforms that would work well for a supplier that manufactures textile products for industrial applications, aside from the top 8? That's a great question. I didn't really cover too much about blogging. So, for example, WordPress. That's a great place to have your content hosted. You can, for most websites, depending if you use a CMS or if you hard-coded it, you can link that to on your website, so it has the same design, same feel, everything like that. So that's one area where you could really utilize good content, utilize your expertise in the manufacturing and of industrial applications. I don't know offhand if there's any specific forums that exist, but consider forums as a place to be an influencer, to be a participating expert there. If you see conversation about what you're producing or if there's a need, go ahead, state that you are Aaron from your company and that you have this available and you'd love to explore conversation. So again, it's a lot of it will be perhaps listening. Certain social listening tools, there's some that you can do for free, like Google Alerts, and just follow certain keywords and phrases. But if you do have budget for it and you have time to use it, there's plenty of tools, from Radian6 to Vocus to Meltwater to NetBase, that where if you type in certain phrases and keywords, anytime those keywords are mentioned, anytime those phrases are mentioned, you'll know about it. And then you can determine if it's in a place where you could respond or not. But great question. I'd love to have you follow up with me, and I'd love to look into that one deeper, Aaron. Any others at this time? I know we're wrapping up towards the end of the hour, so I'm just going to go to the next slide. So in case you're a little shy, no problem. I'd love to connect with you here. Oops. Here we go. My information's in the middle there. There's my LinkedIn page. I even had a couple people connect with me before, so I appreciate that. Feel free to reach out again. I have some follow-ups to do. Got to thank John Curry with IFAI. He's one of the catalysts that made this happen. Amit for First Line. Thanks for being another catalyst. Thanks for letting me critique you as well. Janelle with IFAI, thanks for your help also. I feel good about this, but again, the perception of this is all in your hands, listeners and viewers. I hope this was beneficial for you, and if it was, look forward to a potential series of digital marketing topics related to the ATP world. So thank you so much, and hopefully be in touch with you all soon.